In this chapter, we are going to talk about Piaget, researcher of the human intelligence and of the process of knowledge acquisition. His contributions point out that human knowledge has its origin in the transforming action of reality, whether material or mental. This is what he called constructivism. In this sense, the cognitive development of a child depends on his interaction with others, on how he regards the opinion of others, and on the contrast of his opinions with the rest, through a sequence of stages in which children acquire these notions. Therefore, a child needs the help of adults to discover the knowledge of his world being the center of the organization of playful and pedagogical activities. The contributions offered by neurosciences in the last decades provide important contributions both for the conception of the program as for the planning and performance of its actions. According to Kuhner, Schneider, and Terra, it has been proven to neuroscientists that the genetic determination that the baby's brain organizes is important up to the 21st week of pregnancy. From this moment and mainly after birth, the experience lived especially up to 3 years of age will have such a great impact on the brain's architecture to the point that it extends to the capabilities and abilities that the future adult will have. As a result of the new interactive experience that will be established between the newborn and his mother or primary caregivers, the 100,000 million neurons that constitute the genetic basis of the human brain will be modified. Neural networks appear, which functions go from homeodynamic regulation ability to sensory skills, motor skills, feelings, the ability to elaborate concepts and look for solutions, thinking skills, and even ways of feeling the experience. Kuhner describes it like this, and I quote, "While a parent is trying to comfort a crying baby, or a mother talks to her offspring in a close and attentive relationship, eye to eye, or while the grandchild listens to the story that the grandfather tells, in a matter of seconds, thousands of brain cells of these children proliferate, get disorganized, are eliminated, organized and reorganized by the stimulation of these particular experiences. New connections are formed, granting higher definition and complexity to the intricate circuit that can remain for the rest of his life and constitute the future adult. After all, the brain is the only organ in the body that is self-sculpting from an external and introspective experience. The learning process modifies and reorganizes the structure and physiology of the brain. In this way, our brain is ecological. It learns and develops in an environment in which we live. This is a complex interaction between the genes with which we are born and the experience that enables the environment in regards to the development of the brain. Studies developed in this field of neuroscience have also shown that the different ways of perception of the world, of association, and of brain response have critical periods for their formation, after which they will hardly be properly formed. They are the maturity windows, which open and close in certain periods. After these periods, it is extremely difficult to organize or recover certain functions. Bowlby's attachment theory, which we mentioned earlier, and which describes the affective bond formation process, can also be considered as a theory on how interpersonal processes affect cognitive and social development. Bowlby believed that an innate propensity for physical and emotional contact with a human being exists in babies. This means the existence of the need for an object independent of food, just as primary as the need for food and comfort. His theory describes the propensity of human beings to establish strong emotional bonds with each other. Bowlby also addresses the multiple forms of emotional dismay and personality disturbance, including anxiety, rage, depression, and the emotional detachment that the separation and the loss of the first bonds give rise to. I will finish summarizing Bowlby's attachment theory. When the infant has the presence of the mother, or a substitute figure that is sufficiently sensitive to his needs and is able to respond appropriately to his needs, This will establish what Bowlby called secure attachment, which is a kind of affective bond that will function as a sort of matrix for his subsequent relationships and experiences. Otherwise, if this doesn't happen, the infant can establish an insecure manner of attachment that will bring implications for his future ties, his social interactions, and his possibilities of social participation and learning. In addition to this, having a mother who is available, present, sensitive, and responsible, the child will present a disposition to explore the surrounding environment. In this case, the mother or the caregiver are considered providers of a safe base from which the child can begin to move and to which the child can return to if he were to be scared or tired. This exploratory behavior is essential for the child's integral development process, cognitive, affective, and cerebral. There is an author named Winnicott, a British psychiatrist who studied and specializes in children's psychoanalysis, and what he said and what he observed is that the behavior of children and their mothers would lead them to establish that a good portion of emotional problems can be found in adults. What he means is that many emotional problems that we find in adults have their origin in the early ages of development. Winnicott believed that emotional development should be considered as a line of progression in which the experience of early childhood would define future traits. Environment failures will constitute the origin of difficulties and psychopathological profiles presented in the adult life of a human being. According to Winnicott, the child is born helpless. He is a disintegrated being and perceives in a disorganized way the stimuli that come from the outside. The role of the mother is to provide the child with the help that will allow him to integrate his bodily sensations, the environmental stimuli, and his motor skills, which are in constant development. With her support, the child will feel protected as the mother filters and protects the stimuli that come from the outside world, as well as the corporal discomforts, since the mother is qualified to satiate these unpleasant sensations that the child feels, both external and internal. The human being is born as a disorganized set of impulses and instincts with perceptive skills and motor skills. As development progresses, this set is integrated until the child reaches a unified image of himself and of the external world. Winnicott formulated the concept of holding to describe this important role played by the mother. Holding includes the routine of day and night care, along with the almost imperceptible day-to-day changes that occur in growth and development. This protection and care not only have physiological implications ensuring survival. If the care is adequately provided, the child manages to integrate both the stimuli and the representation of self and of others, acquiring a healthy ego and conquering a balanced and promising development. Another important concept that Winnicott developed is the concept of primary maternal concern. Primary maternal concern is a special psychological state generated in the last months of pregnancy and the first weeks after childbirth. In this state, the mother acquires a particular ability to identify the needs of the baby. This disposition reaches its maximum capacity after childbirth and gradually decreases as the child grows. For the mother to develop this state, the support of the father and of the other family members is very important, as well as the aforementioned family being in a safe and moderate community. Winnicott also theorized on the importance of playing, highlighting the contribution that this human activity has towards health. Playing facilitates growth, affective and cognitive development and leads to group relationships. Playing is a way of communication, and in the early months and years of life, where the first moments of the imaginative life and of the ability to live creatively and constructively are found, playing has a fundamental role. According to Freud, a child does not play to repeat pleasant situations, but to elaborate the situations that were painful or traumatic. On the other hand, we can point out that in children's play, a portion of society is represented, We find someone who is the leader, someone who obeys, someone who proposes, etc. The various roles and the people they play are identified, which helps the child to prepare for adulthood.